We begin this discussion by answering the question, what is education? To share your answer, please scan using your mobile device the QR code on the right or the link provided to access this link. So the link that you will click will show you or will lead you to this page. Okay, what comes into your mind when you think about education? To input your answers, kindly click on this widget and then write on this notepad, okay, your answer. So for example, I'll just write here, answer. Okay, I may or I may not place my name at the end of the sentence. So just click on this sheet for your answer to be recognized or to be updated as you enter it. So you can put as many notes as you can to answer the question, what is education? Okay. Now, to answer this question, the other questions that you may consider is, who are involved in education? What are involved in this? Is this a process? Does it follow a sequence? Or is it a product? An end to achieve? What are the roles related to this? Is education functional or aesthetic? What is involved in education? So think of it as infrastructure, hardware, or software requirements. Are there influences to education? So take this time to answer as many as you can. Okay, your facilitator will lead you in this discussion. Once again, good day. My name is Major Will Warren Analea V. Aligato. I am a member of the Corps of Professors and am currently the Chief of the Career Management Branch of the Office of the Dean, Corps of Professors, or in the military lingo, I am the Career Advisor to the members of the Corps of Professors. So for today, I am tasked to provide an introduction to education. As your module lecturer, shown are my academic and military preparation that shaped how I planned for this topic. Previously, I asked you a question, what is education? In answering this question, what is education? I opted to use the framework used by Pear Tree Education Incorporated. According to their study, the 21st century education, when we are at now, is shaped by 7 components. So these are integrated subjects, hands-on learning, collaboration, student-centered learning, technology, creativity, and entrepreneurship. So as we discuss this lesson, keep these components at the back of your mind. Are these present in our military education? Let's further ask the following questions. What should we learn? In what sequence? By what methods? And for what purpose? So first, what should be learned by the students? Shown are the 3 theories of subject matter. So according to this series, subject matter should be taught for its own sake, for a specific use, or subject matter is merely a medium for teaching intellectual processes, skills, attitudes, and appreciations. So these come from philosophical foundations of curriculum, which you will discuss in detail in the modules after this. Okay? But as an overview, we will have this matrix. So in this matrix, you have 6 columns, and from the leftmost column, we have the educational philosophy. And the next column is the philosophical base, wherein this is the general philosophy from which the educational philosophy is derived from. And then what is the aim based on that philosophy, based on that educational philosophy? What is the aim of education? What is its goal? And then we have knowledge. What are the knowledge, or what are the subject matter being discussed in this philosophy? And then what is the role of education? Okay, and then what is the curriculum focus? Okay, first we have perennialism. Perennialism draws from both idealism and realism. The perennialists believe that the cement of education is the most common nature of man. So with that focus, education should be the same for everyone. So that is what the perennialists believe. So they pursue perennial truths. So these truths are absolute and universal. So the philosophy presupposes that there are permanent studies and knowledge that is available, particularly from the great books, which should be taught to all students. So the stress is on significance of reason and intellectual development. Curriculum is expected to contain important subjects taught in their customary separate form. So this means that history is taught separately, history as history, geography is geography, and civics is civics. So rather than combining all of them and naming them social studies. Other subjects included in this philosophy are literature, philosophy, and theology for their ability to sharpen the mind. Essentialism. What is essentialism? It has also the same philosophical roots with perennialism. So it aims to develop intellectual powers, as well as educating competent persons. Schools, therefore, should not be sidetracked into catering to the personal problems and social needs of students. So cultural heritage should be considered for curriculum making. Essential skills such as reading, writing, arithmetic, or the 3 R's, and academic subjects such as English, science, mathematics should be given priority in the education process, with emphasis on mastery of concepts and principles of the subject matter. As with perennialists, the curriculum is subject-centered and emphasizes separate organized disciplines as opposed to integrated subjects. So the teacher is, in this case, considered an authority in his or her subject or field. The next educational philosophy is progressivism. It is one of the educational philosophies that originated in pragmatism. So scholars in this area are John Dewey, Montessori, Cornelius, and Rousseau. Their studies were geared towards identifying the most appropriate type and nature of curriculum for learners. So progressive education seeks to promote democratic schooling as well as social living. The other major emphasis is on a child or learner-centered curriculum. The curriculum, therefore, is based on the learner's interests, knowledge, abilities, aspirations, among other characteristics of the learner. So there are 5 approaches to the teaching or learning process for progressivism. So first is student and teacher planning of curriculum activities. This means that the student is involved in what he or she wants to learn. Next is flexible curriculum and individualized instructions. So since we are considering the background of the student and his or her interests, the curriculum is therefore flexible and individualized as to the needs of that specific student. Now, having said that, The third approach is learner-centered teaching and learning methodology. So we all will be looking at what the needs or what the needs and what the student wants to achieve. And then also the fourth approach is the selection of study material should be in line with the expressed interests and concern of the learner. And finally, non-formal curriculum activities and physical trainings in area like games, related hobbies, and other co-curricular areas are also considered. So the aim of this form of education is to provide a learning atmosphere that allows children maximum self-direction and to reduce domination in the teaching learning process. So it is all about the child. It's all about the learner. Now, Reconstructionism holds on to an anthropomorphological sociological philosophy that would put schools in the forefront of remaking society. So this one has a greater end in mind. So it wants to remake society. It evolved from a critical perspective of the work of the progressivists who put too much emphasis on the needs of the child and sometimes at the expense of the needs of the society. So the aim of reconstructionist education is therefore to improve and reconstruct society as need be, as well as education for change and social reform. Thus, the study of contemporary social problems become the centerpiece of curriculum content. So critical social problems might be national or global in scope, okay, such as issues of hunger, poverty, okay, war, and for example, at this time, pandemic. So the Reconstructionists believe that resources are available to solve these problems, and the education profession should be the catalyst to prepare and organize future generation to make this possible. So they, however, try to avoid indoctrinating children. Rather, they seek to lead them in rational discussion and in critical analysis of issues. They use multiple teaching material and they consider inclusion of subject matter that would be useful to serve the central cause of the issue of concern. So planning of the curriculum involves various stakeholders such as learners, parents, and community leaders. Now, there are three models of curriculum design: the subject-centered, learner-centered, and the problem-centered design. So first, we have the subject-centered curriculum design. So it revolves around a particular subject matter, of course, or discipline such as math, literature, or biology. So subject-centered design focuses on a specific discipline, while learner-centered design focuses on students' own interests and goals. So subject-centered curriculum design revolves around in this design, the teacher compiles a list of subjects and specific examples of how they should be studied. So in higher education, this methodology is typically found in large university or college classes where teachers focus on a particular subject or discipline. So that's why it is also called teacher-centered learning. Now, this curriculum design is not, of course, student-centered. And the model is less concerned with individual learning styles compared to other forms of curriculum design. So this can lead to problems with student engagement and motivation and may cause students who are not responsive to this model to fall behind. On the other hand, learner-centered curriculum design revolves around student needs, interests, and goals. So it acknowledges that students are not uniform, but individuals and therefore should not in all cases be subject to a standardized curriculum. So this approach aims to empower learners to shape their education through choices. So differentiated instructional plans provide an opportunity to select assignments, teaching and learning experiences or activities that are timely and relevant. And this form of curriculum design has been shown to engage and motivate students. So, but there is a drawback. So, what is it? It can create pressure to form content around the learning needs and preferences of students. So, these insights can be challenging to glean in a largely online learning environment. So, balancing individual student interests with the course's required outcomes could prove to be a daunting task to the instructor or to the facilitator. Now, with that, there is also another curriculum design wherein it is problem-centered. So problem-centered or problem-based learning. Now, problem-based learning, the first two, the subject-centered and the student-centered, are usually called traditional learning. So for the problem-centered curriculum design, uh, the students are taught how to look at a problem and formulate a solution. So a problem-centered curriculum model helps students engage in an authentic learning because they're exposed to real-life issues and skills which are transferable to the real world. So problem-centered curriculum design has been shown to increase the relevance of curriculum and encourages creativity, innovation, and collaboration in the classroom. But of course, again, there is a drawback. So the drawback is that the individual needs and interests of students are not always accounted for. Okay. Now, in our basic education program, what should be learned by the students? So we answer this question. So what should be learned? Now, it has been almost a decade now wherein the K-12 program has been implemented. So from kinder to grade 12. So now we are in academic year 2021 to 2022. So here. So at this time, though the students who started in kinder using this program is already in grade 9. Okay, already in grade 9. So by this coming school year, they should be in grade 9. Okay, so what is the K-12 program? So most of the curriculum change that we saw in the past was a kind of best described as unplanned or drift. Okay, but in the most recent years, the Philippines witnessed changes in the national curriculum, so which is the K-12 program. So this is a legacy of Pinoy or President Ninoy Aquino. Okay, so in addition, so this program has identified the Philippine qualifications framework. So wherein our graduates are already competitive with other ASEAN counterparts, if not better. So in this framework, the basic education, the technical and vocational, and the higher education are now all linked together. So this is also provided. Okay, here, so we have the basic education and then the technical and skills development, and then we have the higher education all in one setting. Okay, so this also provided an avenue wherein technical and vocational students can cross to the more academic and scholarly pursuit. Okay, so in this setup. So in addition to this, okay, we have now levels 1 until level 8, which is equivalent to other which is now equivalent or comparable with the programs of other ASEAN nations, or actually it's not just ASEAN but the entire world. Okay, so when we have adopted these 8 levels of learning, we are now looking into this regionally and globally recognized education. So it ensures that Filipinos are able to continuously learn skills and acquire knowledge within or outside the formal sector or the schools as we know it. So as it follows a common reference for the ASEAN countries, it leads to higher quality qualifications. So that is now what is being taught in the basic education sector. Now at this time, we will pause for a class interaction. So again, we have now being shown is a QR code, which you can scan with your mobile device, or you may input, again, using the link to lead you to a different tab. So if you click this, if you click the link, or if you scan the QR code, you will be led to this one. Okay, so you will be answering 2 questions. Okay, so if you are ready, you will be now answering 2 questions. And your facilitator now will lead the discussion. So that was the Philippine setting. Now, at this time, what should be learned? What should be learned? Okay, in the setting of the armed forces. Okay, so what should be learned? So, are we for subject-centered? Are we for teacher-centered? Are we for problem-centered? So, based on the answer of pair 3 education, the way to go is for us to have integrated subjects, which is what we are doing already. What is integration of subjects? So this is the combining together of subjects. Okay, and we are teaching around certain themes. So how is this being seen in the military? So for example, in our trainings, we have military phase. So we have military phase or the common module phase, wherein all of us, regardless of specialization, go through the same modules, go through the same topics, go through the same outputs and lessons. Okay, and later on, okay, we will now be, or we will also go through a specialization phase or specialization course that will only focus on one aspect. So let's say we will just have human resources, human resource management, or intelligence. Okay, so that is the, those are examples of themes. We have quartermaster and ordnance service. Then we have the SACE, so communications, electronics, and information systems. And then we also have the CMO, or the civil military operations. So those are courses that are being taught around specific themes. In the army, they have this BOLC already. So the basic officer, or the officer leadership courses. Okay, so which are again taught around a specific theme. Okay, now the next question is, in what sequence? In what sequence, or do we need a sequence? Okay, so at this point, we will now be again taking a short pause for class interaction. So at this time, I'd like to ask, which do you think better describes a curriculum or subjects that we take? Is it like the rosary or the puzzle? And why? Okay, so this time, your facilitator will just pause the video for this class interaction. arranging the curriculum, okay, or arranging the subjects, arranging the topics, okay, based on a specific structure is what we call architectonics of curriculum. So there are 4 common sequencing approaches in curriculum design. Okay, so these are simple to complex, prerequisite learning, chronological learning, and whole to part learning. So, of course, we have the first 3, simple to complex, prerequisite learning, chronological learning, almost follows the same concept as the rosary, wherein, of course, I hope that everyone is familiar with how to use the rosary. So it is a tool to be used when praying for the Catholics. So wherein you move from one place, okay, so you start from the cross first and then move to the certain number. So this one is for praying a specific prayer, and then the three uh the 3 beads will also be about another set of prayer, and then the next is one. So you cannot move from one to the next without passing through the first ones. Okay, so that is basically what sequential learning looks like. Okay, now being shown is a very specific curriculum map. Okay, so in this sample curriculum map, okay, we have pre-calculus, okay, so the one at the lowermost left, starts the math sequence of the subjects. Okay, in this sense, it is the simplest of all math subjects. Simplest because it's the starting point. So it is also a prerequisite learning to integrated information systems. Okay, so here, this is at this point, this one at the center. Okay, before you reach this, you need to pass through all these courses first. So in that sense, it is a prerequisite. Okay, so 3 subjects are required for you to get to CIS 3355. Now, on the other hand, so that's sequential. The electives do not follow any chronology. Okay, it does not follow any chronology. So we have the electives are the ones in red. Okay, so these electives may be taken anytime during the course. However, though it doesn't follow any sequence, the elective that the student should take should contribute to his or her project management and practice. So which is this one, CIS 4375. So it shouldn't be just any course. So map this way, the student for this course has a good way of knowing how all these courses relate to his or her program as a whole. Okay, so we call it your curriculum map, wherein, okay, the sequencing approaches to curriculum design are now more readily seen. So we can see simple to complex arrangement. We also see prerequisite learning. We also see chronological learning, and we see whole to part learning. Okay. Now, at this point, we will now pause again for class interaction. So at this time, you are going to go to mind map. So using the link provided, draw your service, okay, or Air Force Education's career and specialization courses. Okay, your drawings should show the architectonics of the curriculum. Okay, so you will be grouped. Of course, there is one output for officers, so that's the grouping. And then for NCOs, there will be one output. And then for the CHRs or the Civilian Human Resource, there will be one output. And at the end of this pause, okay, your representative will be discussing your output. So how does the link look like? If you click on the link, okay, you will be led to this portion, okay? So now I have shared as an example, as a mind map, my own experience, okay, my own professional military education. First, I started with MOTC, okay, or the Military Orientation Training Course. And then after that is a TSOBC. Okay, so for me to get this link, so I just use this one, insert root node. Okay. No, insert child node, okay, for them to be connected. Okay. And then after TSOBC, so I also again clicked insert child node. So we have FSOAC. I took FSOAC, or the Finance Service Officer Advanced course. And then of course, it's not yet finished, but I will need to go through CGSC and of course MNSA. MNSA not because we need to be able to occupy key positions, but for us to be qualified to teach in the higher education schools of the armed forces, which are CGSC and MNSA. Because otherwise, we will just be teaching in PMA and in other schools of the armed forces, not in CGSC and NDCP. So for now, we go back to your requirement. So which is, okay, to draw your own services education. So include career and specialization courses. So as you saw earlier, I also included my master's degree and other short courses that I have taken during the span of my career. Okay, so at this time, you will pause. Your instructors will pause this video to give way for interaction. The next question that will be answered is, by what methods? The learning pyramid that is being shown now, okay, shows the different, okay, teaching methods being used in the classroom. Of course, we are already familiar with this, but let's start first with the one starting from the left. We have participatory teaching methods. So participatory teaching methods and the passive teaching methods. So passive because the student need not do anything. So participatory is because the student needs to do something. So what are these participatory teaching methods? So these are teaching others, or yes, you are going to teach teaching demo, let's say like that. Practice, meaning you are going to do it yourself, whether by simulation or actual on the job training. Then we have group discussion. So these are interactions with your peers. Now, the passive teaching methods is demonstration. Okay, so demonstration. So someone will show what is going to be done. So for example, how to dissect a frog. Okay, so that's a passive teaching method. So if you show it. Audiovisual is when we use learning aids or materials for example, this PowerPoint presentation is an audio visual. So in using this teaching method, the student does not need to do anything. Okay, just read and listen to what is being presented. Okay, and then we have reading. So you just read, and then of course, lecture. Okay, so why is this arranged in a learning pyramid? So these are arranged because it depends, or these lead to different retention rates among the students. Of course, if the student is highly active and participates in that discussion, the retention rate or the learning process is higher. So it is as much as 90%. Compared to just listening without any interaction, it is just 5%. What does 5% mean? It just means that after some time that has passed, the student will just retain only 5%. Okay. So this slide now being shown also shows somehow a different kind of a different learning pyramid. Okay, but this one it has identified other teaching methods. So doing first from the bottom of the pyramid, we have doing the real thing. So this will be, for example, flying mismo, the plane. Then designing or performing a presentation. So maybe a skit or a comic strip. Okay, simulate or model or experience. So this one, this applies to role playing. Okay, and then we have designing lessons or collaborating. Okay, so collaborating meaning you are going to work with other persons or in a team or by pairs. And participate in a workshop. So workshop meaning you are also, this IQC is also a form of a workshop. Why? Because at the end of the, it's not at the end, but throughout your course, you are going to do also some teach back and some outputs wherein you are going to do also what is being taught. Okay. And then we have demonstration. Okay. Exhibition, the use of videos, and the use of images. And then the least effective are just reading or hearing. So this is just learning or listening to the teacher. Now, how this one has a better, this image naman has a better percentage of retention. So after 2 weeks, okay, 90% is still retained, okay, by the student. By using images, videos, exhibition, and demonstration, only 50% has been retained. And in hearing or reading, it has a lesser percentage. Okay, so just 30%. So those are the teaching methods that are being used to increase learning by the students. Now, in terms of the use of technology, we have this continuum. So we have the y-axis and the x-axis. So the x-axis pertain to the involvement of the teacher and the student. So to the left is teacher-centered or highly teacher-centered, and to the right is highly student-centered. Okay, so the more that you move to the right, it means that the student is more involved in the learning process. Now, for the y-axis, it now pertains to the use of technology and other materials. So, of course, the one from the bottom is low technology, and then on top is high technology. So how do we look at this, or what kind of teaching methodologies or teaching methods are being done using this continuum? Again, we have from left to right, okay, teacher-centered. To the right is student-centered. From top is high-tech, and then from to the bottom is low-tech. So what are these? So while teachers are still an authority figure in a student-centered teaching model, okay, teachers and students play an equally active role in the learning process. So the teacher's primary role is to coach and facilitate student learning and overall comprehension of material, and to measure student learning through both formal and informal forms of assessment like group projects, student portfolios, and class participation. So in the student-centered classroom, teaching and assessment are connected because student learning is continuously measured during teacher instruction. Now, advancements in technology have propelled the education sector in the last decades. So, as the name suggests, the high-tech approach to learning utilizes different technology to aid students in the classroom learning. So, the internet is also beneficial in a classroom setting as it provides unlimited resources. So, the teachers may also use the internet in order to connect their students with people from those around the world. So some technology tools used in classrooms today are now, well, if you're familiar with the Google Suite, so we have Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Classroom, Google Drive, and Google Calendar. And then also, other than Google, we also have Microsoft Teams, and of course, simply we can have the just the hardware. So technology will of course need to have some use of hardware. So tablets, laptops, okay. So the software we also use now gamification. Okay, so gamification. So you make it a game, okay, to learning now is being made as if it were a game. So an example of this is the Duolingo app. So if you're trying to learn a different language, a language other than English, you may use Duolingo. So it is the gamification because you are given certain points if you finish a certain number or certain specific lessons. Okay. And then we also have education focused social media platforms. Okay, so such as Khan Academy, Schoology, Seesaw. Okay, so and of course we have personalized learning. Okay, so for those who are differently abled. Okay, now with that, those are the teaching methods. Okay, now the thing is, for what purpose? For what purpose? Why are you here today? We now ask, okay, if using a mathematics point of view or the Venn diagram, okay, your purpose lies exactly where your passion and others' needs meet. Okay, so right at the center. So that is what you love, okay, and this is others' needs. Okay, so your purpose. Okay, now how do you situate? Okay, where are you in the greater scheme of things, in the scheme of the Philippine Air Force? So why are you in the Philippine Air Force? Okay, your passion, that's your passion. Okay, and then what needs of others do you wish to address? Okay, now where those two meet, that is where your purpose lies. Okay, so that's for the Philippine Air Force context. And we can also ask the same question, for what purpose, if we look at now the armed forces. Okay, so in the need of the armed forces is for it to be a world-class armed forces source of national pride. And here you are an aspiring teacher. Okay, that is your passion, and this is where the armed forces wants to be. Okay, where are you? What is your purpose? That is where inter um the interlap happens. Okay, so that's for the armed forces. And again, the Air Force is to take the lead. We soar as one to excellence. Okay, so where are you? Where is that intersection? Okay, to achieve the purpose. Now, we have asked, we have used these, we have asked these questions, 4 questions. What should be learned, in what sequence, by what methods, for what purpose? Okay, vis-a-vis the components of 21st century education. So what should be learned and in what sequence? So we have answered this by saying that it should be integrated subjects. Okay, so what we should learn and in what sequence we should learn them in pursuing our professional military education should be integrated subjects. By what methods? By what methods are we going to learn them? So these are through hands-on learning. Hands-on learning is meaning you learn by doing. Collaboration is meaning you are going to interact with your teacher, interact with your fellow classmates, okay? And interact, of course, still with other members of the team, okay? And the next, by still what methods? Student-centered learning. But of course, we say that it's not supposedly just student-centered learning because we need to have a higher purpose. Okay. So what is that higher purpose? Okay. So that is the mission and the vision of the organization. And again, by what methods? By using technology. Okay. By using technology. So we use now, for example, in this platform, we are using Zoom, okay, as part of the technology. We have also used several tools, okay, in making this discussion as interactive as possible. So we have used Mentimentor, we have used Padlet, we have used Mind Maps, and later on, as part of your assignment, we will also be using Google Classroom. Okay. Now, by what methods? For whatever method that you're going to use in your classroom, it should be creative. It should be creative. Why? Because especially now in this platform, for example, there may be some of you whose videos are off. And when your video is off, we don't know what is happening. Maybe you're listening, maybe you're lying down, maybe you're eating. So therefore, it is the burden of the instructor, therefore, to make it as creative as possible. Okay, so we will find pakulo. Okay, but in a creative way. Okay, because this time we are no longer seeing each other. So in what ways are we going to make our lessons more interactive and more appealing to the students? Okay, and then the last question is, for what purpose? For what purpose? Why are we learning all of these things? Of course, it is because of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, you may ask, Mom, no, it's not entrepreneurship. I'm not here to make profit, because entrepreneurship is to make profit. Well, we can look at that word in a different manner by looking at it as this is maybe you are a member of the Philippine Air Force, but where you are right now as a teacher, it is your job right now. You are on instructor duty status, and this is your bread and butter. So you need to also qualify for whatever job that you are being expected to do. So if you don't do this well, then you won't earn anything. You won't earn any additional 25% or additional 10%. Or even if you are really not so good about it, you will even lose your salary because you are not effective, or you are not, yes, you are not effective as a teacher. Okay, so there is a purpose. Again, as we have mentioned earlier, your purpose lies where? Okay, it is at the center of, or it is at the intersection of your passion and your organization's mission, which is others' needs. Okay, so that is the purpose. Okay, so I hope that in this discussion we have answered the question, what is education? What is education? So we go back now to the previous discussion in our Padlet. Okay, what is education? So we go back to what words that you have used, what concepts you have put in this discussion prior to this lesson, and we will make sense of which questions did it answer, or what components does it did your answer belong to. Okay, so your facilitator now will pause this video and make sense of what your inputs were at the start of this discussion. Thank you. That was a great discussion. And at this point, we will now be having your assignment. So your assignment is to answer, okay, this question. So it is an essay. So the question is, does your professional military education exhibit the components of 21st century education? Okay, so again, what are the 7 components? Is it integrated? Is it, let's go back. Is it integrated? Is it hands-on? Is it collaborative? Is it student-centered? Is it technology-based? Is it creative? Does it answer your purpose and your organization's purpose? So those are the questions, or those are the basis of your answer to this question. Now, if it does, okay, and I hope it does, now which 3 components, okay, need to be strengthened by the Philippine Air Force? Okay, which 3 components need to be strengthened by the Philippine Air Force? And justify your answer. So this is an essay of not more than 2 pages of A4 size paper using Arial 12 font and a 1.5 spacing. So in your discussion, please follow introduction, body, and conclusion format in your essay. So in the Google Classroom, I will be also providing the rubrics based on which I will be giving you grades. So with that, again, thank you very much. I am your module facilitator. My name is Major Will Warren and Leah Villalegato. And I would like to request for your feedback by looking into this link, Google Form link being shown now on your screen for feedback of me as your facilitator. Okay, so once again, thank you very much and have a great day.